Hi class. What I'll be discussing in this video, since it's a passion of mine, will be the current status of U.S. trade compliance regarding imports and exports, and how compliance with the rules and regulations impact businesses that have chosen to conduct business around the world. I'm just going to touch base on the basics that any company needs to understand, as these laws are incredibly complex and they're very challenging even for someone who's been doing this type of work for years. We're going to start with the import regulations, which are covered by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, and it includes the Bureau of Information and Security. When a company brings a product in from a foreign location, the Census Department wants to make sure that your goods are properly classified with what is called a harmonized tariff code. It's a 10-digit number that lets the Census Department know exactly what's being brought into the country. So when you hear people talking about the trade imbalance in the country in any particular industry, what the Census Department is doing is comparing this code and the amount of dollars going into the country versus the amount of dollars being sent out of the country. That's how they determine where they stand as far as trade imbalance. A recent report from May of 2017 showed that the trade deficit decreased from 47.6 billion in April to 46.5 billion in May, as exports increased and imports decreased, of course. So it's incredibly important that all companies that are engaged in international trade understand how to classify their goods properly, so that the President and Congress can make decisions on how to improve and protect U.S. domestic companies. Next, we're going to take a look at the export side. And again, very complex rules and regulations. And there are 3 government agencies that regulate the export of goods from the United States. The first one we're going to talk about is the Department of State, and they control what are deemed military goods. These products are controlled under the United States munitions list under what's called the International Traffic in Arms Regulations. If you are producing a product that falls under the USML, you will need to apply for an export license with the Department of State before you can send anything out of the country. The next agency is the Department of Commerce. These are the goods that do not fall on the USML list. These goods are controlled under the Code of Federal Regulations, and they fall on the Commerce Control List. This list designates how the goods are controlled, and it's based on an export control classification number. There are 9 distinct categories with 5 different methods of control that determine this number. Methods of control deal with nuclear nonproliferation and anti-terrorism. I'm not going to go into great detail about all the different ones. But what a company needs to understand when they are exporting a good is what classification does their product fall under. And if it does happen to fall under a classification that does bring up a unique ECCN number, then you will need to file for an export license with the Commerce Department. There's certain exceptions that you can take when you're shipping goods, foreign military sales, selling to the U.S. government are a couple of them. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail, but there are some exceptions to the export license. If, however, when you do your research, if your product does not have a unique ECCN number, they're designated EAR 99, which means that no license is required. Mostly that's commercially available goods, pens, pencils, things like that will be classified under EAR 99. The third way that goods are controlled for export in the United States is through the Treasury Department, and this is based off of the Office of Foreign Asset Control, OFAC regulations. And these are the countries that we do not do business with: North Korea, Iran, Cuba, just some of the examples. And just to illustrate how important it is to understand these laws, here recently ZTE Corporation just agreed to a settlement with the Department of Commerce and Treasury on a combined penalty of $1.19 billion for sending products on the commercial control list to Iran. So it really is in the best interest of all companies involved in importing and exporting to fully understand the ramifications for not following these laws. Thanks again, class, and I look forward to hearing from you about this topic.